Jen Evers with Quality Crafts, and today I'm going to do some more handmade washi tape. This is a very generic, super cheap masking tape that I'm using today. And I just rip off a piece and lay it directly down on my craft mat. One of the questions I got asked was what type of tape I'm using, so I covered that. The other question I got asked was, how did you make that? So basically I'm just going to show you how I made it. And the first thing you need to do before you start creating your washi tape is to lay it down like I said and completely cover it in gesso. One smooth, decent coat over the top of the entire thing. This is why I do it on my craft mat, because then I don't have to stay on the tape. Anything that goes off onto the edge will just get wiped off when I'm done. You can just leave it here to dry, or you can do what I do. As soon as I get it to the point that I like it and I think it's pretty even, I just pick it up and I hang it on my dresser, on my desk thing that I have here. And I just let it hang there and I let it dry. Then I take a baby wipe and I just simply cover or wipe up the mess. And here's another really fun tip. The toilet paper rolls that you have that are nearly done and you have this little bit of toilet paper left on it, and usually it's not enough and you grab for another roll, leave that little bit on there. Do you see these stripes that I have? I simply use this to drag over the top of my surface and it dries it up for me really nicely. And then I just let this little toilet paper roll sit and dry up, and I can use it over and over and over again as just a little drying tool for my Ranger. So that's a quick tip. Now as soon as I get a dried strip here, I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you how I paint it and how I decorate this washi tape. Alright, now normally I just go ahead and do whatever seems fun at the time, but for this video I want to show you how you could come up with an idea for your washi tape. And I'd like to make some kind of a card or a mini album or something using this paper. I'm not sure if you can see how well you can see, but you can see tones of pink, kind of a green, some browns, that type of thing, in this Paris themed collage stuff that I've cut out. And so these are the inks that I've picked. I've got Regal Rose, I've got Old Olive, and then from Close to My Heart I've got Chocolate and Cocoa, and I think those would go well. So these are the colors of ink that I'm going to be using. And then I've also picked out a themed stamp, and this is just a 99-cent stamp that I got from up north. Super cute, but the roses also go along with that, so I've got a rose here I want to stamp for sure. So I'm going to pull down one of the strips that I have. It's already dry, it's been gessoed, and it's completely dry. And I'm going to stick it back down to my mat. And it does lose a bit of its stickiness, but I'm okay with that, because eventually I can always use matte medium or another type of a glue to make it stay permanently. And StazOn works the best for the images that you really don't want to rub off, which is what I'm going to do for the rose. And intermittently here, I'm going to twist and turn and stamp that rose down the entire length of my washi. The other thing that I found that works really well is if you pick one point, one focal point that you want to leave absolutely stark white. It just creates kind of a balance, I guess, and it makes it look really cool. So let's see, another thing that I'd like to do, I think maybe I'll do it as a secondary step. The next thing I want to do is I want to add some pink to this. And I was thinking probably I'll do my background pink, a very light pink. So I'm going to put some of this directly on my mat so that I can use that ink. This is the Regal Rose. And I'm going to use one of my water brushes. So we're going to water that down some, because I don't want it to be really bright. I'm just going to drag it around. If you don't have a water brush, don't go out and buy one. Just use any kind of a paintbrush that you have. It does not matter what you use to put it on with. The other thing that's really forgiving about putting the gesso on is that if you get, and this is how I got my variegated color looks. Let me show you one real quick here. This purple and blue look that I got, and the mix, let's see this one, the mix of the orange and the yellow, like that. The way I got those was I just put the ink on my brush and brushed it on, and then used my finger to tap it off. Do you see how if you put your finger on it, it lightens it up and gets rid of it? You can use that as sort of an eraser. So like, you get it on the rose and you go, oh, I didn't want it on the rose, so you can just use your finger and wipe it up. So that's really helpful for those of you who are really perfectionists and want it to look a certain way. Okay, and the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add another color, and I'll probably add some of that green. So instead of making you watch me paint this entire thing, I am going to skip to the next part. So next I've laid down some of that olive green. I'm going to add just a touch of water to that. And I'm going to use that to give the leaves a little bit of a green. Okay, I also want to add a little bit of brown to the edge. And again, this is where I'm talking about when you can just use your finger. Add some of that brown and then just touch it with your finger to even it out so you don't have really stark lines. But this will give you kind of a brown tea-dyed effect, sorta. Next thing I want to do is maybe add a little sentiment. This one comes with one little tiny one that says Just Rosy, and then another one over here that says Bloom. I really like the Just Rosy one because it looks fancier, so I'm going to go with that one. And to bring out a little bit more of that brown, because there wasn't a lot of brown that came through, just enough to show that it was slightly dyed, I am going to stamp this in a dark brown. And I'm going to alter them up and down. So I'm going to stamp off, which means I'm going to stamp it once on here to make a dark image. And then again to make a second image that's lighter, and then the third image will be even lighter. And I think I like the second and the third image the best. So I'm going to stamp off the first one, and then the next ones I'm going to put right over the top of the washi tape. And again, I'm gonna vary how I do it.